And welcome once again to the We Like Softball Podcast. It's me, Payton. It's Crazy Shorts at home
Hey everyone,
once
how's it going?
again. How's it balling? Should be the real question. Now, how's it going anymore after the weather-filled weekend of rain down at Mojo in Columbus? Man,
Yeah.
we kind of predicted it,
What a shit show.
without a doubt. Without a doubt. And obviously, on today's show, too, we're going to have John Williams joining us shortly around the 7 o'clock hour. So stay tuned. If you haven't submitted the questions to either myself or Crazy Shorts, make sure to drop them below in the comments. We're got an hour with John Williams, and we're going to be here to shoot the shit essentially and just talk some softball happened between E, D, C, a little bit of women's action possibly as well. But and apparently Crazy Shorts just kind of disappeared for a second. That's called. There you go. You're back. You disappeared for a
And I don't know what's going on right now.
new technology. What else do you expect? All right, are we good? Is it? I'm not actually frozen. I'm just screwing with you now. But anyways,
Yeah.
regardless though, with Mojo talk, let's dive right into it already. And if you haven't already, make sure to end up listening to us on our regular podcast platform Wednesday at 8 a.m. It's going to be released Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, any podcasting platform. Anybody that gave us feedback down in Columbus at all too, thank you. Thank you guys for listening. That's the first way to start us off. Shout out to the softball community to end up supporting us. I mean, this is something that is always in the talks, I feel like, and me and Crazy Shorts kind of ended up having it happen. And the feedback and hearing the feedback either through word of mouth or one way or another, it was nice hearing that and makes you want to end up continuing on with this a little bit more.
Yeah, feedback's a big part of this all. That's what we're doing it for. We do it for everyone in the softball community. We don't make nothing off this. We're just trying to get the word of the softball out to everyone, especially all the local people.
And
Our
actually,
local.
speaking of which, too, one of the guys on Twitter, too, it's like kind of like similar to like the We Like Sports podcast, like how it's a network and it's just every separate branches. It's Let's Talk dot dot dot. So it's like Let's Talk Cleveland Guardians, Cleveland Indians, Cleveland Cavaliers, whatever it may be, and whatever that city is. But one of those guys actually ended up reaching out to us and said that they ended up playing for, I want to say, Ohio TTG, one of their friends, and he plays first base. If I'm absolutely correct, perfect. If I'm a little bit mistaken, I'm sorry. But to end up already hearing on social media like Twitter that you got guys that are listening or you at least have that small connection, that's literally the softball world, though.
Yep, exactly. Just bringing people that don't even know each other together, really.
Right,
Um,
exactly. It's a different form of social media almost. It's not social media, it's the social in-person media, so to speak.
right.
But nonetheless
How was
though,
Go ahead.
no, go on, go on.
I was just gonna say, how was your run at Mojo?
I mean, it was for us to end up getting together the first game when we ended up playing in for Wahoo slash TBC. We ended up having 6 innings worth of great ball. We were even up against Ohana, how we were saying that they were a tough team, top five last year, and we gave them a good run, but a mental mistake throughout all of us, and it's a book issue that we ended up learning from as a first year team that we were an inning ahead when we should have been an inning behind. And when you thought you ended up having a walk off, it wasn't a walk off, and it was only the bottom of the sixth. So a lot of learning experience in that first game. That the second game on Thursday didn't go our way, but the constellation bracket when we finally played again on Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, you're starting to see with us now, we were starting to see that that's what a team does. We were down a decent amount. I think we needed 2 or 3 runs to end up staying in the game. And I think we rallied and scored like 9 or 10. We batted around and everybody was firing everybody up. And that's the game of softball. You saw it. We ended up watching Young Money on Sunday morning. I think it was the third place game for C we were watching. They were doing the same exact thing we were doing. They were just firing up everybody. Everybody's getting on. It's just that snowball effect of softball that you see all the time. And the noise level. That's the key thing in softball. And we ended up seeing that, though, for a first year team. This is only the second tournament we ended up getting into. So, I mean, yeah, as of right now, with these 3 game guarantees, we're 0-6, but there's a lot of potential, and we're all excited, I could say. How about you, though, Crazy Shorts? You guys and the Cardiac kids.
We started off doing really well. Friday we were 2-0. We played a team from PA, and then we played a team from New York. We ended up seeing station to station Friday morning or Friday afternoon, and that was a good battle. They got us by like 4 there, I believe. So we were 2-1 going into Saturday, and I would say Saturday was just the shit show. Saturday was
Yeah, that's for everybody, though, without a doubt. That wind was crazy.
it pretty much became whose pitcher is going to walk less in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
The wind was
Yep.
discussed. We went through so many pitchers on both every game. Both games I played, both teams were equally struggling. I mean, I come in and I even try to do some pitching, and I'm having to throw a ball 3 foot behind the batter for it to curve in. You strike.
That's when I ran into you, was on Saturday. I ran into you on Saturday, and we were chatting about that, too. And during your guys' game, that's when the porta potty fell behind you guys, and I heard the other one went, too, eventually, by one of my sources on the team. Shout out, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, adjusting to the elements is the big part, but I mean, at what extent we talking about here? Those winds were crazy. I feel like I had to lean forward on the field so I didn't get blown over. That was ridiculous, but it was it's still. I had a great time out there on the field, despite being freezing and the wind, and it was just being out there with the boys again playing ball, man.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I think that's the thing too, is that we ended up chatting about that last week. Is like that's what this is all about. It's the start of the year. I mean, if you're getting into every tournament, this is going to be every single weekend with this group of guys that you're playing with. If you're staying on the same team, this is when you guys end up gaining all your camaraderie, and that's what you ended up doing. I mean, you ended up having, for us, for example, Friday we didn't do anything at all because we were supposed to play in a consolation game. We missed all the good stuff apparently with the cruiser on the highway and a 30 cop car chase and a fight and everything along the lines of that. Friday was the day of activities apparently because once you miss work for a couple of days, everybody ends up getting stir crazy apparently and forgets how to act. But regardless, though, with that being said, though, not to get off topic, but on Friday for not having anything scheduled after preparing to be at the game or being playing at some form at some time that day, that was the first year down in Columbus for a Mojo team that I've been on that we actually went to the batting cages, a majority of us on our off day, which I think that helped transition for us on Saturday as well, because that's why we were able to hit the ball a little bit better. We were able to put up more runs. And like you said, that wind element, we were both playing with it. It was just kind of pretty much you were throwing like a floater in basketball. So you're pretty much just trying to get bleeders in there and hit them up wherever. And if they fall, they foul. If you hit a shot in the gap, hopefully that guy's not fast. Otherwise, that wind's carrying it one way or another. That had to be the craziest elements I've played in, though, or seen just for any sport whatsoever, too. And we end up playing again. Wahoo/TBC plays again Saturday in North Ridgeville, and the weather, if pending, unfortunately, it's supposed to be, I think I saw 9 a.m., 50-degree gusts possibly, but no rain. So it's going to be crazy wind once again. Back-to-back weekends to start softball. We're in E, so you're not at a home run. You're allowed one home run, and then the rest is inning outs. So what a great way to end up reintroducing that rule.
Yeah, it's tough. I even seen maybe snow this weekend. So
Yeah, that hail at least for sure hail.
the cardiac kids, we were signed up for that, but we had decided that it was probably not the best interest to play this weekend. So I think the boys are sticking to, I believe, the 14th and 15th, and then we are in the weekender too as well.
Okay, birthday weekend for me.
All right.
April 21st. That might be possibly the first weekender I could actually play in too. In years past, I've always had the radio station I work at. So instead, that was always Fridays. And usually, like you said, the weekender always starts on a Friday afternoon, evening. And by the time I get down there, it's already Saturday. And who knows if you're still playing or not. But this if everything works out schedule wise, might be the first weekender I get to play in, and somehow, some way, it also falls on my birthday to start off the weekend.
This should be a good birthday
Hairline says
weekend.
37. Hairline says 37. I'm turning 27 though.
Uh, got my
But
Browns gear on for today.
oh yeah, and did you also see? I want to end up hitting on it very, very briefly because it's not softball related. But shout out to the Cleveland Guardians for extending Andres Jimenez 7-year contract, 100 some million dollars, and the Guardians are spending money, which is surprising. And you ended up in turn getting rid of Francisco Lindor to get younger guys that are going to give you more time, and you're not paying them that much. You're paying as much as you would have for Francisco Lindor. But side tangent with that after you bring up Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I had to get off topic there for a minute.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you kind of segued my way in there. I had to go with that. But regardless, though, want to dive into what happened this past weekend. I mean, you have a little bit of a rundown. I have my rundown too. We ended up having some teams we shouted out that we also missed too as well, I think. And I think the one team we missed out on that deserves a shout out, I don't think we hit on them last week, is Bohica softball. They ended up finishing 13th in Mojo. They were 6-2 on the weekend, 131 runs scored and 102 runs against. So, I mean, they ended up finishing 13th out of however many teams were there, 140, and they ended up putting up a good fight. And I think we kind of just looked over them early on last week, but wanted to give a shout out to them guys. You had Cardiac Kids, you guys, Crazy Shorts team, 25th place, Cardiac Kids, 77 runs scored, 72 runs against. So just shows you right there too. You guys were in dogfights all throughout the weekend without a doubt. In the cut, 2-2, 47 runs scored, 40 runs against, and the Cleveland Knights tied within the cut. This is where the constellation brackets get a little confusing, but they were 6-6, and I didn't end up jotting down their runs scored and runs against, but you said you ended up having the top 3 for Mojo for E as well, right, Crazy Shorts?
Yeah, I think we had a third place finish of Bobcats, second place finish of Rampage out of PA, and I believe first place was Illust out of Michigan.
Yep, and Illis too. That was one of the things I ended up having for the top 3. They ended up going 9-1 on the weekend, 164 runs scored and 82 runs against. So I mean, they was a tough team you ran into regardless. And I want to admit the truth here because we ended up kind of, I guess, as two Ohioans, got a little bit cocky because we ended up saying that our top 3. We didn't see anybody outside of Ohio because Ohio runs softball and this and that. And for all those guys that are listening out of state, I don't want to apologize necessarily, but I want to admit that I was wrong and that this weekend, the team from PA, the 2 teams from Michigan, shout out to you guys. You ended up making us eat our words. You made Ohio look a little less humble than what we were going in, and you definitely humbled us, but shout out to you guys for the out-of-state ones, but regardless, Ohio softball, look out for any of us, though. That's all I got to say for that.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, shout out to all you out-of-state teams. We ran into our 4th game against that Illinois team. Should have been 3. Man, hats off to them. Them dudes were just balling all around, offensively, defensively. I mean, only so much you could really do defensively the first game. It was a freaking ocean out there in the outfield. Dudes were just splashing around, and it just is what it is. But yeah, hats off to those guys. I linked up with one of their teammates. It could have been one of their coaches. His name's Terrence, and he's going to be linking us up with maybe some Illinois tournaments in the future.
Oh, hell yeah. That's pretty awesome. That's unique. That's honestly one of my favorite things about softball, I'd say, is all like the local teams that you end up having because these guys from Michigan, from PA, from New York, from Illinois, they end up coming out here to Ohio for Mojo all the time. But like you said, you end up playing against better competition or just different competition because we all play amongst each other enough times, whether or not it's league ball, whether or not it's tournament ball. Getting a different change of scenery, sometimes your players that aren't usually your top guys, sometimes traveling that home away from home, they might end up surprising you because it's no pressure. They feel like there's no pressure whatsoever for those out-of-state tournaments. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, and shout out to Joe too. I forgot about that. We ended up having on Sunday, we ended up leaving, and the one guy was wearing a LSU shirt, and he said they drove 16 hours to Ohio, and he was sleeping like 16, 17 hours. He was sleeping, but they all drove 16 hours, and they were still there Sunday morning. So that shows they weren't getting back until late Sunday night, Monday morning.
Wow, that's
Could you
insane.
imagine that? And like,
Uh,
that's how we said that it's softball Columbus, Mojo, the center hub of softball, and you're traveling that long. And the good thing is too is they were great people to chat with too. We ran into them, chatted for a little bit. The typical, hey, where are you guys from? And they're like, oh, we're from here, obviously. And they're like, oh, well, we're from Texas. We traveled up 16 hours away, and we're like, we just had a 2 hour drive. That was kind of an easy snooze drive. Go back and stretch when you get out of the car, and that was it. And that was the simplicity of it. But Texas, man, and I wish I would have ran into him a little bit earlier just because you could end up seeing these teams from out of state play. And obviously, they were even saying, too, with the weather difference, that the cold weather, it wasn't necessarily a thing to affect them because Dallas has just been as cold. Texas has just been as cold for the last 3 months or so. And they just had a tornado and they were gone well in Ohio. So they're like, well, we don't know what we're coming back to necessarily. So,
I also got the pleasure to meet a couple lads from Canada. We were just out smoking, and they walked by. They smelled it, and sure enough, they had joined us. And next thing you know, we were conversating for God knows how long. But interesting characters, and they were telling us their whole mission along the way from Canada down to Ohio.
I think that team you're talking about too is the team we faced in our second game on Thursday too, because that was a Canadian team built from New
I
York
think
or
that was the
whatever.
show that won the consolation of
Yep, New
or
York
yeah,
Militia or something like that.
yeah.
Yep, that was the same team we played against, and they just seems like a couple of good dudes too. Because I want to say a couple of the guys on Wahoo/TBC, they ended up chatting with them after the game as well, just because somebody said something about Canada, and they're like, "Well, what are you doing down here? Like that's a travel." And they're like, "Well, they either came from New York or they came through Michigan, one way or another."
Yeah, they
But
were telling me that they were coming through Buffalo.
yep, that it's the
They're
easier
not
way, and I'm like,
they're not
but I want to end up hitting on C and D division for men as well before John ends up joining us. I want to hit on the fact that a former E team, Fairview Softball, yeah, they're an Amish team. They might not be seeing this, but either way, they deserve the shout out because they finished in second place in D, and that was their first D tournament, I think, or their first major D tournament. They went 8-2, 182 runs scored, 120 runs against, and they're all young 16, 17, 18, mainly 17-year-olds that were on that team. When I checked out their roster, when they ended up winning that, when I saw that they finished in second, just because curiosity piques. And you had that team finish in first. They were 8-1, 173 runs scored, 132 runs against. And then legendary Kings for D ended up finishing in third. They went 6-2, 125 runs scored and 88 runs against. So those top three teams, you see why they ended up being in the top three with that run scored, runs against differential. You ended up having about 40 runs, 60 run difference from those games. And that's why you're finishing where you're at on come Sunday morning.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everyone knows how tough the Amish are.
And
Anyone sees
especially to get bumped to D.
yeah, it don't matter. It don't matter. Sanctioned
No, not
bumpers
at all.
don't. Mm-mm. They will battle with the best on any day.
And the thing is, too, is that we ended up playing against those guys enough times last year, and now they're sitting in second place in D. And speaking of teams that are new to a new conference as well, if you want to call that conference division, Young Money, they're in C. They ended up finishing in third place, and on Sunday they made a good run as well. They ended up fighting back, I think, in their game before the third place game. They went 5-2 on the weekend, 166 runs scored, 132 runs against. The Hornets finished in second, 5-2, and Van Wert Breakers once again 8-1, coming away with C. I want to say that's March Madness was the same thing with them, and looked all too familiar almost that was the same situation with Van Wert. They look like they're those three teams for C. Those would be the three teams I think you look out for this year to see regardless.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's anyone's game, but those seem to be the teams that are coming out blazing. Guns
And
blazing.
that's the thing too, is like you said, it doesn't matter what level of competition. You have enough of these guys that it's just softball. It doesn't matter your rank in the end, that it's kind of like that's always like the lackadaisical saying is that it's just softball. I want to play open, I want to do this. It's just that level of competition. And teams like Fairview softball, teams like Young Money for the last 2 years have kind of proved that. They're just willing to play against everybody. And
Yeah,
James
young
ended up
man.
mentioning too, C is wide open. So if you're in C this year, or if you're just a softball fan in general, keep an eye out for C. Follow along on those live streams, these tournaments. I mean, especially if James is saying that, I it makes it that much more interesting. And also, it's still early on, so I guess you could say any
Very
division
early.
is wide open right now.
Very early
But at
on, I
least to
get
make
you.
a statement early on, that's the key, regardless, because then people start talking, like us.
Yeah. Yeah, well, overall, I would say everybody got the typical Mojo experience. You got some good weather, you got some bad weather, and you got to gel with the gang
Oh yeah, and you
from
got
worst
some
to
nice
first.
merch too. Shout out to the Sunday tents right there, which I ended up looking hard enough on that, and I'm like, does that say One Nation in the background of the writing? And it does. So got to wear
Nice.
some softball gear. I never within 3 years I've never ended up getting anything softball gear wise for D1 through One Nation for anything, and finally year three we finally got it, ladies and gents, we got it.
It was due.
Yeah, long overdue, without a doubt.
I didn't get nothing. I looked around a little bit, but didn't get nothing.
That's usually
I
what my role was in the years past. Was always check it out. Was there something interesting? And I'm like, nah. And then last year, I think I ended up leaving early Sunday morning. So once they had the batting glove sale that day, shout out to Cisco. He ended up picking me up a pair of batting gloves. And this year, I returned the favor for him because that's what brothers do. You end up looking out for each other. And I looked out for him this year because he looked out for me. That's the way it rolls. And if you're out of the area and you're back at home, why not? It's going to save them a trip and they might end up wanting it. And why are you going to argue against the fact of a brother that's going to end up helping you out? He didn't have to do that. And it's all the good people in softball. It's all about your friends. It's all about your connections when you aren't around, too.
Yeah, definitely. It's always nice to have a good another pair of eyes out on the sales.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's not in the softball group chat with your team, at least somebody hears about it.
Yeah, definitely.
But before we end up having John end up joining us here shortly, we have probably about 4 more minutes or so, roughly. I want to end up going into women's for B, D, and E. You ended up having Angry Beavers win B. They went 5-1, 111 runs scored, 46 runs against. That's a good defensive team right there. Just looking at the numbers right there, that was a 70 plus run differential almost 65, I believe, if I do math right, but I hate math. Extreme Associates went 7-2, 178 runs scored, 90 runs against. Again, that run differential, that's the key, without a doubt in softball. You want to end up having that comfortable number, roughly the sayings 22 plus 24 runs or so, and you're in good shape. But I also want to end up taking a backtrack to that statement too, because Slim and Chubbies, I think they had a game that they won 44-32 at some point over the weekend on Friday or Thursday night. So sometimes that saying isn't always true.
Yikes.
And in third place for women's B, you had Outcasts 3-2. I believe they had 82 runs scored and 70 runs against. And then for women's D and women's D you had Lady OSC 6-0, 6-0 in first place, not even having to worry about getting double dipped whatsoever. 103 runs scored, 33 runs against. Again, talking just similar like Angry Beavers in B. That's that run differential, and that just shows good defense. Or else that noise level of being able to rally your team together, you could get in a team's head really easily, and sometimes they just can't hit. And sometimes you run into those weekends too, and that's softball. That's the lovely thing of softball. And then lastly, in women's E, Heathens ended up finishing in first place, 7-1 on the weekend, 98 runs scored to 65 runs against. And in second, Lady Vengeance went 5-2 in E, 74 runs scored and 55 runs against. So shout out. I wanted to cover everybody, so I made sure to end up including in women's this week finally because you guys deserve to get recognized as well. But what a weekend, and that weather was atrocious to say the least. So I mean, everybody was windburnt. You had porta potties, trash cans, windburn, sunburn, hail, you name it. We probably saw it this weekend, without a doubt, including that cop, the that chase with the cops or the state troopers on the highway. I mean, you ended up having the fight between two New York teams. I think that's somehow connected to you guys as well. That you ended up almost playing the winner of that game or something along the lines of that. I heard.
Yeah, it was it was a wild ride. It was. I mean, would it be Mojo without any of those things?
No,
Would it?
no,
Would it?
not at all. It reminds me of growing up with like the home days because always every year at home days, like the local home days, it was tradition ever since I was growing up. And it's not a good one, but there was always a fight between some couple, and it was always like a senior in high school and somebody else, and it was always the dumbest fight at the home days for that city every single year that it seemed like it was tradition. And that's kind of like what you're saying with Mojo, the chaoticness, it's tradition. So it just makes sense.
I'm just glad to know and to see that other out of state teams fight among themselves when they're out of state. Instead, like
Right, yeah.
usually when these out of state teams, if there's more than one in the same state, they're almost like super brotherly set up with the other team. They show support, they show love. You don't see them like talking crap amongst each other. Compared to Ohio teams, on the other hand, if we don't like each other at home, we definitely ain't gonna like each other out of state. I've seen that many different times. Ohio teams just fighting, whether it's just an arguing, shouting match, or actually getting down and tussling, throwing some fists and whatnot. So it's
Yeah.
good to see that it ain't just an Ohio thing. It's because for a while I thought it was. Until really this weekend, I thought it was. That was my first time seeing like two teams from the same state fighting in our state. Usually it's us
Right.
fighting. So,
Maybe it's just an Ohio thing, honestly. Who knows? But
well, I
without
thought, but
going
oh man,
any further, we got Big John Williams here. He's joining us now. John, how are you doing? Oh, he was there. Where'd he
where's
go?
he at? Back in.
Hey,
There he
what's
is.
up,
What's going
fellas?
on, John?
We are not worthy.
We
Uh-oh.
live?
There we go.
We live?
Yeah, we're live.
Tacos.
All right, all right. What's going on, fellas, man? Thank y'all for having me, man.
Oh, well
No,
over.
thank you, John, for coming on. Absolutely.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, man.
Well, you have a lot to
Is that our
say.
guy Cisco in the background cutting the hair?
You know it, man. I'm sorry, fellas. I had to get myself a little cut before I take off on Thursday for Vegas, man. We got our
Hey, that
season
just
open. We
shows
got
it
What do
just
you have
shows the
in
proof
Vegas?
behind it.
What's in Vegas?
we got the Conference USSSA opener out there. Starting this weekend. Get to go ahead and go back at it in another year, and this time it's a little different than the rest. I get to be the defending champion for once, man, and try to go ahead and hold it down again and get a little repeat going.
Oh,
Yeah, that's always the nicest pleasure too. Is once you're the defending champ and you end up having to defend that crown, you already know, John. No matter what sport, you got a target on your back, and that just makes you play a little bit more harder and have a little bit more fun, just because you know that you're the champ too as well.
You are absolutely correct, my brother. You are absolutely correct. Myself personally, though, I'm the type of person I don't ever feel that I want a break or I get a break. I feel like I need to push harder, if that makes sense. I need to go a little bit more to show that it wasn't a fluke or something, or it just wasn't a one-time thing or one-off, and that we're here to stay.
yeah, that's the motivation right there. The doubters. That's for sure. Let everybody know what team you're playing with this weekend. Well, in general for the year, shall I say?
I will. I'll be back with MPT Reynolds out of Newark, New Jersey. Or actually, I'm sorry. Where are they from out of New Jersey? I forget the town name. Out of New Jersey though. MPT Reynolds. Going on my fourth year and going into my fourth season now with them. Looking forward to it, man. We added a couple guys. It's going to be a very good season. I feel we got a lot stronger. I think as a team. So just got to see how everybody puts it together and how we all gel and mesh. And go. Definitely going to be some little growing pains. There always is, isn't there?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, knowing from playing with a first year team right now this year, absolutely understand the growing pains, but that's a part of the brotherhood that we were talking about, and that's why Mojo meet weekend. You ended up gaining that camaraderie with your guys. You ended up getting to know each other. That's the best part, though. You end up hanging out, and I mean, on our way for Wahoo/TBC, when we were at the Airbnb, when we had some downtime Friday, we ended up watching some conference games on YouTube because what else are you going to do when you're down in Columbus watching some softball, playing some softball besides watch more softball?
I hear that, brother. You can't ever get away from the game, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, man. Sometimes people don't necessarily give it a full shot. Sometimes you may not have success early. Sometimes, it might be some struggles early on. You might not be putting up the runs that you think you should be. Maybe your defense isn't as tight and locked as you think it should be. But you know what? That just comes all with playing with the guys next to you, getting used to each other, and yeah, man, just sticking it out, sticking together.
That definitely sounds about right to me too. Getting comfortable with that guy next to you, and then once you gel, it usually takes off from there for sure. In my experience, what about yours, Peyton?
I mean, obviously, you end up, and speaking of which, and I know we're not talking with them, but the barber that's doing John Williams' hair and beard right now, Cisco, we've chatted about it before too. It's that chemistry. I've played with Cisco enough times that you end up getting to learn somebody a certain way, and once you end up playing with a certain group long enough, you want to know what their movement is, what their thought process is. You want to gain that chemistry, and that's in any sport: basketball, football, baseball, softball. You want to get to know your brothers on that field or on the court one way or another, just because you got to know which way they're thinking and they got to know which way you're thinking, and that's what makes you guys a better team in the end, without a doubt.
Exactly. And when it actually comes down to it, man, in the end, it's gonna be like you guys are all moving like water together, man. You're gonna know what the guy next to you is doing without even having to say anything. You guys are just gonna be in sync and be on the same page.
Definitely.
And also, before I end up forgetting too, just because I'm so not used to these working usually, but if you guys are unfamiliar with John Williams, here's a clip of one of his moonshots, and he just doesn't always hit moonshots. He can
Just
play the
like
game any other way. I've seen him rip it down the third base line. I've seen him fly balls to the outfield, and it sounds like the loudest pop in the neighborhood of Oakwood Park in Lorain, Ohio. But regardless, here's the video of John Williams hitting a shot.
sayonara ball.
You're not coming back anytime soon whatsoever.
I wasn't able to catch the video there for some reason. It didn't pop through on my end. Which one you guys happen to look at there?
Oh God, that was on. It looked like it was in Florida.
Was it with the Ohio Challenge Cup team?
No,
No, but we do have that one too.
that was an older one. It wasn't a newer one.
You want
Oh,
to end
okay.
up playing the Ohio Challenge Cup one too, because we got that one on dial too. If you feel
Oh,
more confident with that shot.
Yeah, there. If it's down in Florida, it's probably got to be a good one, man, because you got to
Like a
actually hit
red
it to get out
jersey.
there.
It was a red
All right,
jersey.
here we go. Yeah, the red and blue, with the red jersey, blue pants.
It
You
didn't look
stumped
good.
them.
MPT,
It looked older.
MPT.
Was it maybe year one or something?
I believe that might have been my second year, our second year there. Might have, yeah, the first year we went, yeah, the first year we went major. They kind of look a little purplish.
Yeah, a
Kind of,
little bit.
a little bit.
Yeah, that was the second year with MPT. We first year major team.
You gonna drop that Ohio
The
one?
Ohio Cup challenge. Yeah, we
To
could do that
6,
too. Here we
Ohio
go.
4. In the top of the third, Victor Anderson, glad that you're back with us. USSSA Challenge Cup. Men's and women's major B and C divisions taking center stage at the Space Coast Complex this weekend. And that is a no-doubter by John Williams, and Ohio ties it up at 6.
Great,
And that one was against Georgia, the Ohio Cup team.
the commentary flawless.
And that's the best thing, honestly.
No. God, I need to commentate one of those games.
Yeah,
Oh,
they do a good job down there. Actually, they do a real good job. The commentators, man, a lot of the guys are very insightful. A lot of them are ball players, so they kind of they know a lot of the guys out there and stuff too, and it's actually very good.
awesome.
So let me ask you this, John, from a broadcasting standpoint too, just because if anybody hasn't known yet, and I'm always going to toot my own horn a little bit, I work in radio and have the broadcasting side. So when it comes to commentary before games, do they end up ever coming up to you before the games to end up getting like fun facts or interesting stats to end up plugging during that broadcast before you end up playing, or is that just kind of printed off sheets like you would at, like, let's say Guardians games with like a statistician almost?
Honestly, man, sometimes they know some things about you that you ain't even never told them before, or they've never even asked about. They just turn up some information on you that it's like, whoa, where'd you hear that from? Um, but yeah, they kind of they talk to you, and you know what I'm saying. Sometimes, like I said, guys have some input on you also that they run with and stuff, and they definitely do their research a little bit too.
I'm ready to take it back to the day of high school. Let's hear some stories on this. Did you do high school ball? Let the people know.
Yes, I did.
What
Um,
position did you play? Let's go in depth there.
I was actually a shortstop in high school, and I pitched. Like I said, I come from a time where you do it all. It's not just a pitcher or a hitter. You're a position player too. We didn't have a huge pool of kids that play. You know what I'm saying? Where you could have just one position for every guy. But I did a little bit of everything. Um, I was fortunate enough to be a part of something that my uncles created, where they made and took a tennis ball shooting machine and ultimately, like, just like the gist of it, souped it up to basically shoot tennis balls at 130 miles an hour. And the whole premise was that your eyes, just like everything else in your body, are a muscle and you can strengthen them. So when you stand there and you watch a tennis ball go by at 130 miles an hour and then slow it down to 90, it looks like a beach ball coming at 50.
Okay.
Um, so I was, like I said, I was fortunate enough to be able to do that all the time, and it really helped me in my abilities with baseball and my abilities with hitting. Um, so but I wasn't just a baseball player. I was a three-sport athlete. Um, Up until high school, I actually swam competitively for 8 years.
What was your thing for swimming? What stroke, I guess?
200 butterfly and a 200 freestyle.
Okay. I can't do either. I couldn't swim for the longest time. I just went shallow end or medium depth. That's all I could do.
Yeah,
Can't stop
when I
picturing him in a speedo with doing the backstroke.
oh yeah,
Jesus
I've
Christ.
I've got about 100 of those probably. Um, yeah, I swam up until high school, and I was actually very good at that. I made it to the Junior Olympics, and was a Junior Olympics champion in 200 butterfly and 200 freestyle.
Oh, damn.
So yeah, when the time I got to high school, I kind of wanted to try something different, and I ended up picking up basketball. So I played football, basketball, and baseball in high school.
And swam.
Did you do those all 4 years too? The trifecta?
No. I'm an honest person, and you know what? It's behind me now. And like I said, everybody grows as a person. People make mistakes and stuff sometimes in life, and I made some bad choices in high school. I ended up getting kicked out of my high school, and fortunately and lucky enough for myself, I had a good coach on my travel baseball team that allowed me to keep playing and actually helped me kind of turn everything around to get myself back on the right track. And I played travel baseball out of Illinois for a team called Top Tier.
And then that's when, because you dabbled with the pros, right?
I was drafted out of high school by Minnesota. And then I went and played 2 years of JUCO ball. And
Okay.
again, made some bad choices and didn't end up getting to go and they didn't end up re-signing me.
Hey, but you still made it pro. Just not baseball, but
You
bigger
know,
ball.
like I
Yeah,
said,
true.
everybody kind of goes through some things in life, you know, and some trials and tribulations, and sometimes things don't necessarily go how you plan. But I figured, you know, and I got kind of lucky. I had a friend who brought me out to play slow pitch softball um, a while back. This is probably 2012 now, um, and never played before in my life, and came out and played, and actually absolutely fell in love with it, man. It kind of gave me an outlet where I didn't feel like I wasted everything that I've done in my life as far as practice wise, as far as, you know, the countless hours of BP and pitching and, you know, everything like that. I feel like softball gave me the outlet to feel like I didn't waste all of that.
That was league in 2012 when you started playing. That was league or tournament.
League ball.
Was that here or was that in Chi-Town?
In Illinois, yeah, Chicago.
Okay.
And actually, I kind of started out playing before that, though, was 16-inch, big
Yeah,
ball.
that's on my list to ask. I want to hear so much more of this 16-inch. So is that really what you started playing, was 16 or regular? Okay, so
16 is what I actually started playing. And then my buddy was like, well, there's a game that's a lot faster paced, and they use the little yellow balls. I was like, all right, let's go try that out. Let's go see how that is. And I pulled up to the park, man, and I want to say it was in Mount Prospect, Illinois, and there was a team out there, and it was called Wayne Co. And I was walking up to the park with my buddy, and I was watching these guys hit, man, and I'm like, damn, these guys are hitting that bad boy about 400 with that little ball and the bats. Man, I went up there the first time, man. I swear to God, I swung so hard, I almost threw my back out. I missed everything. It was pretty crazy, man. And then I kind of started finding more out about the slow pitch softball. I got on my first slow pitch travel softball team, I think in 2015 maybe or 14, um, with a team out of Illinois with a guy named Thomas Peckick. Pretty cool dude. Um, and then I got an opportunity to play a couple times up in, which is Northern Illinois, Crystal Lake. And at the time, I had no idea who the guys were. I had no idea really about softball, period. But at the time, it was Travis Clark, the pitcher from Resmondo. Other guys like Mike Umscheid used to play with Precision out of Illinois, and also played with like the Smash It Sports teams back in the day and stuff. And I had no idea at the time who them guys were. And I started talking to people, and they were like, "Well, yeah, that guy plays for the United States men's slow pitch team." I was like, "What? There's a United States men's slow pitch team?
Right.
Wow! How do you get to that?
Yeah.
How do you go about getting on that team?" And I started kind of asking around, man. And guys kind of told me you got to play tournament ball and stuff, and you kind of move around and you start meeting people, and then people kind of see you play and might want to pick you up, and yeah, and it just kind of was like a whole laundry list of things that kind of went into play there. And I believe in that same year, actually, um, I got a call from Jason Wilkins, who at the time was the sponsor for a team out of Illinois, also called Compound Athletics. Or actually, I'm sorry, this was in 2015. This would have been the year after that. Um, I got a call from him to come out and play in the Chicago Major um, for U-Trip for the conference, and I said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And thank you, Jason, for giving me the opportunity to be here now. Because this door wouldn't be open, I wouldn't be here sitting here talking with you guys right now if he honestly didn't open the door for me. Because I guess there was kind of like a knack or knock on me at the time, saying how I wasn't very dependable or reliable. And at the time, now this is me thinking too, and I guess I was kind of an asshole, but I'm like, well, I'm playing on an E team that goes fucking 0-2 pretty much every weekend. I gotta miss work, and I gotta pay for everything to get there, pay for all my equipment and shit. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna stay at work this Saturday, guys. So I mean, I couldn't really knock it, but yeah, so I had to kind of prove myself. I actually had to, and now from where I live in Chicago to Joliet, where they played league night at, was probably about a 45-minute drive if there was no traffic. But during the week with traffic, I would have to leave work at pretty much like 3:30 and get in traffic just to get there by 7 for a 7:30 game.
Whew.
So I kind of had to show them, and these guys, when they're paying for flights and stuff, and and this is going for anybody that gets a shot, anybody out there that gets an opportunity to play, or somebody asks you to come and play, show up. Doesn't matter how you do. Doesn't matter if you go fucking 10 for 12, fucking 12 for 12, or 2 for 12. Show up, because that knock on you could be the door closed to a lot of places if you want that. Don't sell yourself short. Give yourself that opportunity at least. But yeah, I had to kind of prove myself and prove that I wanted to do this and show that I really wanted to play, and I wanted to take this seriously and be very competitive about it.
Wow. I mean, well, that's definitely good advice. Uh, definitely good advice. I want to jump on to well, congrats on being a father. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Thank you. Fellas,
How are
thank
you
you,
loving
man.
that life? I know it has its
Oh,
ups and downs, but
yeah,
how you
I'm used to it. I've been. She's not the first one for me, but
well,
she's our first one.
yeah.
But man, to be honest, man, she's sweet, man. She's a good baby. She started probably, I would say, sleeping mainly almost all the way through the night about 3 weeks ago now or so, 2 weeks ago. Um, so that's helped a lot. But I mean, she's very, very sweet baby, man. She's doesn't fuss too much. She's not like a crier or anything, man. Um, she's big as hell already.
And
She
there's a
goes
reason why
crazy.
her dad's called Big John, though, so it makes sense.
Yeah. I used to joke around with Kai. I used to say she was gonna come out looking like Marla Hooch. I don't know if you know who that is from a League of Our Own. Uh,
Oh, okay.
yeah, wow, what a hitter! Not the prettiest of them all, but wow, what a hitter! But man, we got lucky, man. I got real lucky. She's a very beautiful little girl, man.
Well, thank goodness that didn't happen. How's Grandpa Paul? Is that Grandpa Paul's kid? He's
Oh man, he's living life, man. He's loving it. He's enjoying every minute of it. He
probably
is.
happy as hell.
Yeah, man. He's a smile ear to ear every time he steps through the door.
That's awesome. How? All right, let's get a little back on topic here. Let's go back to bat number one, the John Williams bat number one. That was Anarchy.
No, man. Goes
What
back
was
a little farther than that. I actually had a combat out there. I was on a combat with a lot of the
oh,
guys.
geez. Combat?
Yeah, that
Tell us
was.
about it. Tell us about it.
Honestly, I'll tell you the truth. That was probably arguably one of my most favorite seasons I've ever played yet. Even
Yeah.
after winning this year and stuff, man, it's the guys on the combat team, man. Because I'm like this is another instance where I'm just fortunate enough to be a guy in the right spot at the right time, man. Where it was combat's last season, man. They closed down the doors there after that year. They ended up merging over with Easton and took some tech over that way and stuff and whatnot. But thank you, Don Cooper, for giving me an opportunity to play at the major level, man, and believing in me. Um, that was one of the best years I've ever had, just for the simple fact of the guys on the team, man. I made a lot of I met a lot of guys on the team that I consider and I actually talk to pretty much. I would say on like almost a weekly basis, where I'm joking around with them, or on every weekly basis or something, man. With like guys like Flip Washington, Chris Griner, Zach Messer, Brian Zirkle, OG KP, the little one. Nick Sansone out of Vegas, which I hopefully I get to see this weekend when I fly out there. I want to come check out that wiffle ball, which you also, by the way, Nick. He plays in a wiffle ball league now, man.
Oh, that's
Man,
That's a
awesome.
little off topic. Yeah,
Canadian
we'll come
club.
back to that or something. But yeah, man, it's just the guys on that team, man, are like brothers to me, man. And like I said, I talk to them all the time, man. And I can't say how much love I got for them guys because they kind of showed me the way. I'm just thank you, brother. I'm just a young dude, man, coming into the game. I don't really know anybody yet, man. And these dudes took me under the wing and they showed me the way, man. The coach of the team, man, gave me some great advice along the way. Jeff Wallace, who's a great dude, man, and I thank Jeff for everything that he taught me, man, and the conversations we had. Um, and then we had some crazy old school veterans like Dennis Ruley, um, who just is arguably, I would say, probably one of the most stone cold hitters to ever play. The guy will fucking 16 hop it through the infield in any hole and tell you it's coming. So I mean, it's pretty crazy, man. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, wow, that's just it takes you back, man. I'm sure that brings up a wild, a bunch of memories for you. So it's hard to,
Oh yeah, a lot
yeah,
of
we're
them.
catching you off guard. It ain't like I sent you a little list on things we're going over. So it's just I can only imagine the stimulation that's going through right now.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so, so how many bats total are we talking about? John Williams editions through all the brands or signatures, models, whatever you want to call them. What are we at total?
Oh, the list ain't as long as you think, man. It's just it's kind of smaller. I had an ASA
Longer
line
than
out with
most
Monster.
people I know. I know that.
I had an ASA one out with Monster. Thank you, Carl. You know what I'm saying, Leslie. Y'all are fantastic over there. Appreciate y'all very much. And then the Anarchy. Um, Guys at Anarchy were top notch guys, man. Chad, Mike, fucking Kevin. They're just everybody, man. I was lucky, man, to meet some good people in this game, dude. And now the fellas at Juno, man. Rip, Mark, Phil, y'all gave me an opportunity, man, and I thank y'all very much. I'm gonna run with it. I'm gonna try to do my best. I'm gonna try to represent the best I can, man. And I feel like I've been just kind of been, like I said, lucky, man. It's kind of in the right spot at the right time, man, and around the right people. Um, Steer me in the right direction, pretty much, kind of. You know what I'm saying? Give me some good advice, and guys that I can turn to and count on and shit. So it's yeah, a lot of luck, man. A lot of luck.
That
Well,
actually leads me to my next question. Adam, if you don't mind me jumping in for one of my questions, it just kind of segues right there. I mean, John, anybody that's played with you, against you, I mean, it's either in Lorraine that it's happened before that we've gotten the pleasure to play with you and you're always giving back advice. Who was the guy or who was the group of people that ended up inspiring you to give back to the local guys that you end up knowing? Like even being on the podcast today, for example, something you don't have to do, but who ended up inspiring you that ended up giving back so much to the guys that's local, like for right now in Ohio? Anytime people ask you for advice, me personally, I have too with my swing, and I feel like anybody that has, you're always there to give great advice. And who inspired you to end up carrying yourself that way and passing that along, I guess?
I'd honestly have to probably say that's my uncle, man. My uncle Ray Felkel, man. He
was that the
at an
tennis ball?
early age, yeah, yeah.
Okay, makes
At an
sense.
early age, he kind of he coached me through everything. He coached me and my brothers through everything pretty much until we got to high school. Um, and he kind of told me I had a responsibility. I had a responsibility to, and this is actually a conversation that I had with him. I would say probably about 10 years ago now. He told me I had a responsibility to pass on the knowledge and stuff that I know. And at the time, he was more so talking about for my son, my oldest son Drake. But I kind of took that and what he was saying, and I took it as I have a responsibility to teach and grow any game that I have some knowledge in, or anything that I have a kind of a foothold in, or if I have something that I can pass on that will help even just one person. It might not help everybody because no two people are the same. But if I have something
Yep.
in my mind, in my head that I can give and pass on to somebody that helps just one person, then you've succeeded. And that's kind of how he's always taught me that, man. And that's kind of what he even as a young kid, he said where I might have known plays that other kids didn't know, or I because like I said, my uncle's the coach, and I had all the playbooks and shit like that. So I was actually studying all the plays before they could even see what was coming to practice. And he's like, "Oh, if you know something or you see somebody not doing something, step up, help them out, show them the right way." And I feel like that's just stayed with me, man. It's just always been there.
It gotta make you feel good too to watch other people succeed just by giving them a little bit of information.
It definitely does. It definitely does. And there was actually a lady this weekend on Kai's team that she has the ability to hit home runs, serious home runs, and she first of all wasn't necessarily in the right spot in the box where now she's reaching for a lot of stuff out front and low. And all I really did was just I kind of told her, hey, move up a little bit. You moving up is going to bring the pitch height up, and you're going to catch it coming through a little bit higher. You hit it up here where it's at higher. Don't let it drop. And she went and hit 2 home runs right after that. Um, so yeah, it does. I actually had a big smile on my face over there as she did that, and I got to. I'm not obviously I'm partaking in. I'm just watching, but just even watching her and seeing her celebrate with her team, that brought a smile to my face. That means that she's happy. And like I said, you make one person happy, you've done your job. And my ultimate goal is to try to grow the game, man. I don't ever want to see this is a game that I love. I've grown to love. So I just want to see it keep getting better. I just want to see people keep moving up. I want to see keep the game and everybody else's games just get better. Um, and that's yeah, ultimately what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's awesome. How are you? Okay, so you're for us smaller guys and gals, you give us this information and we almost in a way look up to you. So we take this advice, whether it's right, wrong. We're hearing it from the fucking pro. Take the pro's advice first off. Try it, and if it don't work, then we can knock it. But we're going to try it. Compared to any other guy, we're gonna maybe not take that information so directly. How are you at receiving taking orders when you're a player and your coach tells you to do something? How do you take it? Do you just do it, or do you consider it and then you do it?
All right, so I'm gonna give you the honest answer, man. I'm gonna give you guys the honest answer here. Now this might just be because, like I said, I got a pretty tight knit, close group of guys on the team that I play for. Um, but I get asked to do things all the time. My coach or sponsor Mark might ask me to go and play first base or something, or go and catch this inning, or hey, you're down this game. Um, and just me, the type of person that I am, I'm always kind of like joking around because I'm a lighthearted person. You know what I'm saying? I don't ever want the fun aspect of the game to be taken away, and I don't ever want, you know what I'm saying? Because once that happens, there ain't no sense in doing it no more. If you ain't having fun, don't even waste your time doing something.
Right.
But I'll kind of give them some shit. You know what I'm saying? I kind of talk a little shit and be like, you want me to go up over here? Huh? Why? Why? Because I'm showing out over there. I kind of joke around with it. You know what I'm saying? And just mess around. I'm very lighthearted dude, but at the same token, I will always go and do my best wherever he asks me to go or wherever I'm told to go. Um, I'm here to win. I'm not here to lose. Obviously, there ain't nobody want to lose. Nobody's trying to fucking make errors. Nobody's trying to fucking make outs. Um, but I'm the type of person I will go and give my every bit of me and all 110% of me for whatever you ask me to do.
Yeah, so I picture your coaches there. They're talking to each other when they want to make a move for you. They go, "You tell them. No, you tell them. No, you tell them." They don't want to get heckled.
Oh man, them dudes ain't afraid of nothing. They'll be like, "Hey, fat ass, get on over to first."
What do you think we're paying you
I'd
for?
be
Get
like,
out
all
there.
right.
Oh yeah, they're good dudes. Like I said, I've just been fortunate enough to be around guys who are they match my level of idiocy. If that makes sense.
Hey, that's all that matters, though. Honestly, me with the teams I've been on, I'm the goofiest guy, and I'm gonna say the dumbest things possibly, and it's just gonna make you laugh and just be like, "Hold on a second, what did he just say?" And that just ends up having more fun for
Exactly.
everybody.
Exactly, man. And you know what? Honestly, whatever happens after that, dude, most of the time, you turn around and you look, and you be winning. You'll be winning games. You'll be fucking right there.
Yeah.
You have your opportunities, man. And that's what it's about.
Most of the time, I feel like I've done my winning when we don't think about it. We're just out there playing fucking softball, and then the wins just come. I feel like
Hmm.
when you go out there, like, all right, we have to win this weekend. We're playing this team. Let's fucking put it on them. I feel like that's when we blow it the most, shall I say. It's just because there's so much pressure that we build upon ourselves. It's just like,
Yep.
and that's the thing. Nobody wants to lose. Sometimes we're taking off of work for these tournaments or whatever it is, or missing money all around. And it's like nobody
Yeah.
wants to lose, but at where do you draw the line? You have to be able to accept loss and move on from it at some point, whether it's 0 for 2, 2 and 2, I don't care what it is. Eventually, just by saying when you're not winning, you don't win all the time. You have to learn to draw it with your, like I said, no one wants to lose, but you have to do it for yourself. some people can't do that. Some people take losses so hard and they can't move on from it. They hate the team. They leave the team. Whatever the situation is, it's just what's the
Yeah,
word? Like, you just want to
I
over.
definitely understand what you're saying, and I definitely understand the you know. And I was on a team, and I want to say maybe it was 2019. And now listen, hear me out here. Get this right. You know what I'm saying? We played, I would say, probably 5 tournaments, maybe six, maybe five. I think it was 5 tournaments. And out of those 5 tournaments, we didn't have a single tournament that we didn't finish in the top three.
Okay,
And we had guys on that team who weren't happy with that.
they want
We
to play
had
every.
guys on the team that weren't happy with, and we go off of points. You know what I'm saying? So a
Hmm.
top three finishes in the first 5 tournaments, which two of those are dual tournaments, which big points. Where I think we got second and first in one of those. Guys weren't happy with that, man. They imploded the
But
team.
how much of that comes down to too, and thinking as a player perspective too, how much of it do you have to end up considering as an individual that you're not always going to please everybody? You're always going to have a teammate that's going to be upset because like that's just human nature. You're not always going to please anybody and everybody, but like in that case, obviously you're finishing top three, like you mentioned, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You're getting points, but how much of that as a player do you end up having to control that you have to remember? Well, there's no pleasing everybody, and how could you pick up that teammate, or is it just kind of you have to end up kind of staying away from that and not making it your business almost. You know what I mean? Like kind of in between like
See, and
that that you don't want to get in
that's
control, but you want the control for it.
that's one of the few. I'm not gonna say the only, but that's one of the few things that's different about where I play at and then the lower levels is the fact that they made it kind of a business. It's kind of a business. Now, at the same token, I'm here to do my job regardless whether somebody on the team likes me or not, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Right.
I'm here to do my job. You know, I'm here for a reason, and I'm going to get what I'm here to do done. Period. Whether you like it or not, whether you like me or not, whether we hang out off the field, you know what I'm saying? I don't hang out with everybody on the team off the field. You know, they're just like you said, you can't please everybody, and sometimes, I'm the type of person I like to stick to my people that I know. You know what I'm saying? Is my rock solid. And that doesn't mean I don't like you. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna joke around with you. That don't mean I'm not gonna fuck with you. That means I ain't gonna possibly go eat dinner with you. You know what I'm saying? But I don't always hang out with everybody on the team.
Right.
It's just like I said, it's just part of it, man. And guys don't always, and guys understand that. I feel like for the most part up where I play at, and I just, it's just one of those few things that's different about the levels there. I'm not
Yeah. No.
saying it's a job, but it's a job, man.
Oh yeah. Definitely a job. Definitely a job. Because if you don't perform, you might not keep your job.
Might not be, yeah, you might not be
I
on the
mean that
team, man.
that's on any team though, I guess. Really, I mean, I guess if well, you're lower like
You're
me,
not wrong.
you could suck and you could still hang around and see you next week, but not in your case. You got to show out.
I mean, you're not wrong though either. It's at the lower levels too, guy. You know what I'm saying? Guys don't perform. You're gonna have to go find somebody else that can get it done out there. Because you're not just gonna waste your time every weekend, like you said, to come out and hang out. You're here to win. We want to win some games.
Right.
You can still
Right.
hang out, but you still want it to be a success at the end of the day that you're not questioning why did I end up getting off work this day? Why did I take time away? Why did I travel? That's always something in the
Exactly.
back of your head.
Yeah.
Yep.
If we just want to play league, then we could stick to league. But we want to play tournaments. You want to get some dubs out of there. Well, like I said, you got to win off the field too, man. Because when you're not getting paid if you're playing with your friends, then like I said, stick to league. But in tournaments, it's like you got to pull together some wins sooner or later, or everybody's just not going to be on board for that anymore.
Exactly.
It makes sense to run a losing tournament team. What are you doing it for?
Yeah.
you want to hang out with the boys and okay. Let's get back to
You
that.
can do that back in Ohio.
Let's get back to that
Right.
wiffle ball. Let's take my money, Well, this wiffle ball. Wiffle ball tournaments, I want all that.
Man, dude, my buddy plays in like a Premier League. It seems like I've been watching, man. It's legit, man. It look like I'm not gonna lie, it look like it's somebody's backyard, but it's a legit stadium field out there.
Yeah, like a little mini field. Like it's freaking crazy. We play. We hit
Dudes are making
sandballs.
crazy diving catches. Oh man.
I mean, I've seen some of them like curveballs and sliders and shit that they
Yup.
throw. I'm like, what? It just is foolish. Some of them
10,
balls that are thrown.
10
I
foot of break.
got a couple of those like slurve balls or whatever they're called, those like cheater ones, and it shows like you put
Uh-huh.
the number, and I can't throw anything. I can barely throw that. I try to through the curve, and it don't do nothing. The knuckles on it. Blitz ball, yes. Sweet nuts said
Yep.
blitz ball. Exactly what it is. Hey, we got it from my son. And I can't get that thing to get any motion on it. We watch these YouTube videos, TikTok videos. These dudes are freaking throwing like Euphuses behind the back and shit.
Yep.
And I'm like, what? I can't even throw a freaking change up with this thing.
And that could be a good thing though, because you might be looking at Tommy John surgery if you throw it the right way for once.
Yeah, right.
Let's hope that don't happen.
Right, exactly. That's the worst. That's the worst surgery ever that you have to end up getting for in baseball, and it's always more and more consistent. It seems. And I want to ask your thoughts on that though, John. Just because you ended up saying you have kids, you had a daughter, just newly born in the last couple months or so within the past year, for your son that you ended up saying for baseball, and it seems that enough times now with baseball players, it's almost promoted that you end up getting Tommy John surgery early on because then you could throw harder as you end up growing up and you're in high school. What are your thoughts on that as a whole? Just because it seems that when we were all growing up playing baseball, Tommy John surgery, that was the news you never wanted to hear. And now it's almost as if it's encouraging.
I think there's a little more to it than that. I think it also because the surgery is different now. The surgery is a lot different. They're not taking that loose tendon out of your hamstring that just kind of floats around in there to put in. I mean, you get somebody, God forbid, and I hate to say it, but you could get a cadaver's freshly done Achilles tendon and put in there, and you're throwing hard. I don't think that's the way to go. I'm not a firm believer in that. I mean, if it happens, it happens, But I feel like that should happen naturally. You shouldn't be going out throwing trying to blow your elbow out.
Right. That's what I'm
That should
saying.
never be the fucking goal. And if people are teaching kids that, man, those people need to be fucking just beat. Because that's terrible that you're doing that to kids.
Yeah, that's
I mean, I taught my son right now. My son still doesn't throw a curveball yet. I mean, I've shown him. I've shown him the correct way. I've shown him how to hold it. I've shown him how to let it go right. But I've also taught my son how to throw a split finger, change up, four seam fastball, two seam fastball. And on his own, unbeknownst to me, the motherfucker learned how to throw a knuckleball. And it's actually pretty damn good. Uh,
That's good.
I believe it was last summer he threw it for the first time in the game. And the kid in the box stepped out. And he was like, he's throwing a knuckleball.
Shaking in his boots.
He didn't know. I don't think he'd ever seen one of those before in a game or anything. He threw it to him, and it was a strike. And man, it was good, man.
That's
How old is he
amazing.
now?
That's amazing.
Just turned 13.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Yeah, this was, I believe, I want to say it was in Cooperstown over the summer, last summer.
Okay. So is he playing in the on his way to the Little League tournament then? Because I think that's right
Oh
around the age.
man,
13's the cutoff, right?
Yeah, he's right there. I mean, Illinois has got a lot of good baseball teams in it right now. Actually, man, there's a lot of good programs on the up and up.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we ended up running into that. What was her name? I got it written down here somewhere. It was should have been three. They were out of Illinois, and they were a great group of guys. Man, Terry Bowman, I believe Terrence Bowman is his name, and we were in the parking lot chatting it up for a while, and
Nice,
it was very. I look forward to coming out there. He said he's going to hook us up with nationals and whatnot, and we might be.
nice, yeah.
We'll see how
That's
it goes. We'll see how it goes.
that's. Do you know where you guys are going to be playing the nationals out there?
I have no
Is it up
idea.
in Wheeling?
I got to get in contact more with them. We're going to talk more about it. See how everything.
Okay, yeah, man. If it's up in Wheeling, man, you have to let me know.
I have yet to play out there anywhere in Illinois, so I am.
Some nice ballparks, man. Some really nice ballparks. They've been turfing a lot of stuff too.
Okay, yeah, then that's even better.
So
It just helps with
there's
the weather
actually
a little bit, man. Just going out of state and it rains. You know how many times we go? I don't know how many times we got to Tennessee and it got freaking rained out. I don't even think I ever finished a tournament out there. Can't
I think
stand
that
it.
that's only one thing of weather in Tennessee, and it is rain. I've never been there, but it seems that way.
Yeah,
you got it.
I feel like just for something.
You got it, brother. Hey, once it rains too, here comes that humidity. Oh God.
Yep. That's what
There
I've
was
heard.
one year.
That's all I've heard.
I told him, man, y'all gotta cut this jersey off of me, man. Couldn't even pull it away from my body.
Last time I was there, it was a Saturday morning, and all of a sudden, it was a beautiful day. During mid-game, like third inning, fourth inning or something, the most craziest rainstorm comes out of nowhere. Like,
Real dark.
insane. I'm talking about the fields were flooded in like 60 seconds. Flooded. And they're talking about play ball still. We're like, what
Oh
are you
yeah.
talking about? Matt Adkins. We were playing an Ohio team. I think it was Hoodstar or something. You know, he gets a hit and he runs, and I'm talking about, I don't know what in his mind sent him to second base, because you couldn't even barely run. There was a foot of water on the field, you know. And he slides into second base, and I'm talking about a wave covers shortstop and middle, and they're just like, really? You know, we were like so fired up the most. But they canceled it right after our game. So they made us play in the rain for absolute no reason. We didn't move on, you know. It was like, okay, thanks for that, you know. But, you know, I guess in all actuality, that's a memory I'll never, ever, ever forget.
Yeah, hey,
almost
you
drowned.
that's what you do, man. That's what the game does for you. It builds memories, man, just like that. Stuff to look back on and smile, man.
Yeah,
So, John, let me ask you this question. When it comes to softball, and I mean, it seems that there's so common too that there's so many super drafts. And from a conference player perspective, is that something that you end up ever looking into? Like, for example, like a Spiders draft, if we're talking about Tennessee, is that something that you ever end up looking into just because it's something that you hang out with a bunch of people, you could pass along advice, and you're traveling, and it's just new dudes that you're meeting overall, or new women's players? Is that something that's ever intriguing to you, or is that something as a conference player that it's not as intriguing just because you're already traveling more often than somebody that's a C3E player?
That's honestly, I'm the type of person, man. I love to go and play in things and places I've never played before, and meet people I've never met because, um, first of all, those people they watch too. You know, they check out the live feeds and the live streams. They see the YouTube videos and stuff, the Facebook videos and stuff, and um, I like checking new people out. I like seeing different ways of living, man. I've never been the type of person that really likes to just sit still, for too long. I'd probably say I'll be moving up out of Ohio in probably the next 5, 6 years, just because I want to go live in Utah for whatever reason. It's just I like to move around, man, because no two areas live the same, and there's no two like same like groups of people, man. Everybody's got a little different twang about them. Whether it be your food be a little different, it just shit like that, man. I like that.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about going out to new places is trying the local food joints or especially like anything southern. Remember one time we went to Valdosta, Georgia for I believe it was a freedom tournament while we were out there. We went to this
Go
place.
Valdosta.
Yeah, we went to this place called Big Nick's, and it was super southern, and they had like gator bites. We're
Yeah, I've
all
been to
looking.
Big.
You got to be shitting me right now. There's gator bites here. We got to
I've
try
been
them.
to Big Nick.
And so we ordered them, and we all do like a cheers. We try them, and sure as shit, it wasn't bad. Yeah, I was expecting some like disgusting, chewy
Something you
food
never
in my
had
mouth,
before.
and it wasn't actually a very good edible. It almost tastes like chicken in a way.
It's
It
like
does,
frog
just a
legs.
little.
But it wasn't.
Exactly. There you go. The
They had
frog legs
different
just hit
things
it
on
on there.
that. Yeah, I can't remember what everybody else got, but that was my like I said, we go there. It's like at least try something that you don't normally have locally.
Yeah, I definitely I love going and playing new places, man. I'm all about it. I'm all for it. Love meeting new people, man. Because then like I say, I have conversations. Anybody's always free to come up and say what's up or talk to me at any given time. Um, and I'll always talk to you. This is the type of person I am, man. I'm never gonna just turn somebody away. You know what I'm saying? Unless I'm like got the baby in my arm or something, and she's shitting on me or something. You know what I mean? But I'll even then I'll probably still be talking to you.
Right? Just don't pay any attention from my neck down while there's shit on me, but just
Yeah,
eye contact here.
exactly, man. That's the type of person I am, man. I've always been like that. Always will be.
And that what
And
makes you, man. Big John the goat.
I don't feel like there's enough guys, man. I don't feel like there's enough guys out there that do that, man. That try to pass the game on to the younger guys that you know what I'm saying that can run with it. You know what I'm saying? And the people that want to run with it. And that's ultimately what I look for is I'm not necessarily gonna go up to somebody and be like, hey, look, you can do this. But if I see you're kind of struggling and you might be getting frustrated, then I will. Um, Most of the time I let people come and ask me, hey, can you check out my swing or can you take a look? Because
Yep.
to me, that shows that you want to get better. You're going out of your way to come and ask. That means you really want to get better. You want help. You want to learn. You want to be able to progress in your game.
And I could attest to that too, because I've done it before when we played in Broadview Heights or whether it's Oakwood. I've asked you before too, and you've always been willing to give advice almost immediately. And it's, hey, could you just check out this at bat? Even if we're not even playing against each other and it's within the same complex or with each other even. And that's honestly what makes me
Yeah.
end up getting better and wanting to get better too, is because somebody like you, John, you're so humble with it too. And it's so nice to at least know somebody within the softball community that's local that you just show the interest that you want to get better, and you're going to end up depicting and piecing together that swing for them if they ask. Otherwise, you don't look forward to giving advice if you don't know who to give advice to.
Yeah. And I appreciate, man, I appreciate your kind words, man. I really do, Vic. Um, like a saying that my uncle and they always kind of told me was a closed mouth doesn't get fed.
Yep.
And that doesn't just necessarily mean food. That means, that's just speaking up, communicating, talking. Those are huge things and big factors that a lot of people overlook, man.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to shoot your shot.
Exactly. What's the worst somebody can say is no.
Right.
Yep.
And then what do? You come ask Big John. I'll say yeah.
Yeah, you definitely are one that you can just roll up on, ask a few questions, and you'll get a few answers. Whether you'll like those answers or not, that's up to you. But you're gonna get some sort of feedback from Big John if you go up to him asking him questions. So you're definitely a
That's
guy
gonna
that you
be
can walk up, have a smoke with, have a drink with, and you'll get a casual conversation. Whether you'll like it or not, you'll get an answer. But that's
that
always one of the great things
some
about it.
I feel like a lot of people also a lot of the time just overthink.
Yep.
It's you go from one extreme to the next when it's really actually right in the middle is where you want to be. And that's majority of the battle I see with people, and like I said, I'm always around, man. When anybody asks if I'm around and I'm able to help out, I'm gonna help out. Like if I hold a hitting BP and somebody hits me up, you want to come out hit BP, come on out, come take some swings with me. I said, we'll check some things out, we'll see where you're at, and we'll go from there.
Hell
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's the nicest thing to have that locally too, John. And as we end up running out of time here today, before we end up going anywhere, where can anybody listening find you on social media? Where could fans end up finding you? Where could they see the footage of any of these games that you're playing in for the conference, especially with Vegas coming up as well?
Well, actually, I don't. I usually use my Facebook. My Instagram, I pretty much everything that goes from my Facebook goes there. It would be Mr. Will underscore I underscore Ams. Um, and then yeah, man, you shoot me a message on Facebook or anything or somewhere, I'll see it and I'll get to it. Sometimes I'm sorry, people, I'm pretty bad at checking them all the time. So it might be like a day or two later that I get back to you, but just bear with me. I'll get with you, I promise.
Yeah, between work and the whole family thing and ball, you're a busy man.
And
So
get
Yeah, I
the
bounce
haircut.
around, man. I always make time for my people, so I promise y'all that.
yeah, we
Without a doubt.
appreciate you being on the show. I mean, I wish
Anytime,
we had
man.
more, I wish we had so much more time. I know we were a little scattered because we were trying to rush to get everything in the show, but we appreciate you being on here and giving us all the answers to all the questions we've given you.
Not a problem at all, fellas, and I hope to be back here soon with you guys
Oh,
sometime, man. I
that's what I
hope
was
to
going to say
Part two.
next.
Definitely. Good luck
yeah,
this
man.
weekend, sir. I want you to defend
Thank you,
that
fellas.
title like you deserve. Uh, I mean, a hitter's going to hit, so just send him a long yard and come back with the dub, man. Is this
I'm
is
gonna
this
try
a
to do my best.
chain tournament or is this just a what is this?
Just our season opener,
Okay,
just the season opener tournament. Good group of field out there. Actually, there's a lot of good teams out there, man. And you know what? Like I said, the game is growing, man. A lot of these young studs they're getting good, man. Young, man, and I'm actually excited to see what this season has to bring because there's a lot of diversity throughout our league right now. Where I'm not gonna say anybody could win, but anybody could win.
right.
And what fields are you
So,
playing at out in Vegas too, John? I know I've played at Freedom
oh
Complex and
man,
Big League
those
Dream.
damn Cracker Jack box fields, man. You know it, the big league dreams, man.
Dude, that was the worst. I like the fields. I like the concept, but they were so rough to see because you had Crosley Park and it's beaten to shit in the background, and you
Oh man, dude.
could.
They don't want to hear my ideas because I would love to for them to actually. There's a spot that was just built in Arizona, Victory Sports or Legacy Sports or something like that. I forget which one, man. Um, Dude, they have some crazy amount of fields out there. And why wouldn't you want to play a tournament out there in late March where the weather is not 150,000 degrees during the day?
Yep. The one time early on that it will be too, that it's only 80 instead.
Right, man. This would be a perfect opportunity to switch up, but nah, they don't want to listen to me.
Well, next
But yeah,
podcast,
we play at the DLP.
we'll let you vent that story on the next podcast. Maybe they'll listen then. Maybe they'll tune in. Spread the word in Vegas.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully. Um, yeah. Hey, I thank you, fellas, for having me on the show, and I really appreciate you guys, and I love what you guys are doing, man. This is going to be huge for softball, especially Ohio softball, which all we want to do is see it grow, right?
Yep,
Absolutely.
that's all.
You guys are going to grow it with this, man, and I'm looking forward to watching this podcast grow.
Hey, thank you, John. That means a
Thanks
lot to
a lot,
both
bud.
of us.
Not a problem, fellas. Thank you, guys.
And we'll definitely be having you on soon within the next month, if not a couple weeks from now. Who knows? Because if you could end up chatting with this and we could end up bullshitting, That's the headlines. It's just John Williams joining us, shooting the shit, and you end up adding more and more. Next week we end up having Jason Markland. Week after that we have Harry Sherrill, I think. So it's all growing, and people are talking about it. And that was probably, we ended up saying beforehand, that was the best thing, is hearing feedback this past weekend down at Mojo and being able to talk to you and thanking you again in person, just for the fact that you're willing to do that too. And we're all just trying to have fun and make it build, and everybody ends up enjoying hearing their name or a little shout out here and there for their team.
Oh hell yeah, man! Like I said, man, and all the Ohio teams this year, man, go hard, and try your best and play good ball and stick it out. Don't just give up on it just because you might not have success right away. Because there ain't nothing. You might not be the same team in August, September, October, November as you are right now in March.
Preach.
Yep.
Preach, brother.
That's a
Preach.
fact.
Commitment is key.
Exactly.
But
My
guys,
two. Thank you, guys.
thank you again, John, for joining in. Make sure to tune in tomorrow morning, Wednesday, 8 a.m., Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher. If you want to listen to the podcast on all podcast platforms, hear John, hear Crazy Shorts, hear myself chatting, or else just follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, anywhere around that. Make sure to check us out. And John, Crazy Shorts, thank you again, and we'll see you next week with Jason Markland.
That's
Y'all
episode
have a good one, fellas.
Peace.
You too.
Later.